Hey folks, Councilman Rasmussen here, coming to you with my update from our October 3rd council meeting. A little bit later in the day than normal. I usually try and like to get these done around 8 o'clock in the morning or so, but this morning got away from me. Lots of stuff to do, so it's your afternoon update if you want that. We had a relatively short agenda from our meeting last night, so as usual, we'll start with a couple of the update things. There's a few things coming up if you don't have them on your schedule already to keep an eye out for. All of these are also on our Town Tidbits, which is the Thursday newsletter that comes out. You can sign up for that right on the town website. You scroll all the way down to the bottom. I think that's where the place to put in your email is. So you can see all of those there. It's a great resource if you're not signed up for it yet. Try and get on there. So a couple of things coming up. One, starting this week, though obviously not a lot of people out raking leaves right now, leaf collection began on Monday this week. It runs for the fall. I forget exactly what the final date is, but I'll make sure I post that up. But if you, once it stops raining and you have any leaves that you need to get, you rake them out to the curb. We don't put them in bags. They just get them out to the curb. The town vacuum truck drives around and does these collections throughout the fall to make sure we can get as many leaves off. So if you're the kind of person who wants to rake out your leaves and get rid of them, that's great. They'll be collected for you. If you're like me, you just mow them right into the grass and let them be fertilizer for next year. We also, starting next Monday, is going to be our fall cleanup. So just like in the spring cleanup, every year in the spring and the fall, we have 2 weeks where you're allowed to put bulk items out on the street and the town is going to come and pick them up. Cannot be hazardous items, but these are any bulk items or large items that won't normally fit into your garbage or won't are able to be picked up if you can't take them to the transfer center or something like that. So starting next Monday, and it goes for 2 weeks, is the bulk pickup. So if you got large items, as long as they're not hazardous materials, you can get them out, and the town, the guys will be driving around and picking them up throughout the course of those 2 weeks. Another thing coming up, and I'll share out the exact dates for it, we're going to be doing some hydrant flushing. If you live downtown, you can sometimes see the folks driving around. We see them out here on Commerce Street, where they'll open up the hydrants, just let them flow for a minute. They're basically checking that everything is working properly with the hydrants. It can, though I've never seen this, but I have heard mention that it can cause a little bit of like discoloration of the water if you live close to a hydrant that's been flushed, especially if it hasn't been one that's been flushed in a while. So as long as we stay up on it, you shouldn't see that. But if you notice a little discoloration in water, that may be because of hydrant flushing that's going on in your area. So just keep an eye out for it. It only takes a couple of days for them to run around and do most of them in the town, so it goes pretty quick. On the fun side, after the hydrant flushing and cleaning things up part, Halloween is coming up. So there's a couple of things that go on in town for that. Obviously, there's lots of private events. You'll see folks post. I know that there's trunk or treats at the VFW and some cool things like that. The police station this year is going to do a haunted police station that will be on Halloween, so October 31st, 6 p.m. You can head over there to the police station. They're working on a cool setup to entertain all of us for a little bit. So that's a new thing that's going on for this year. I think that'll be pretty fun. We also, one of our agenda items was actually setting the official trick-or-treating date and time for the town of Smyrna. It's a question we actually get every year, both questions and complaints. We are sort of pretty traditional in that we established that, the evening of October 31st is the night to go out trick-or-treating. From, I think, 5 to 8 p.m. are the official trick-or-treating times. Some people get upset about this, like, why does the town have anything to say about it? The issue is that there are people who want to know that, and they want to know, okay, when should I expect trick-or-treaters at my house? There are some folks who get a little uneasy about it, some neighbors who don't necessarily like this. It's not something that they, I guess, want to participate in. So it's something that the town, I guess, for years has done, was establish some official trick-or-treating times. We did that by resolution this year, October 31st from 5 to 8 p.m. So I'll be out there. We go around downtown and hit South Street, some of the places with my kids. They love it. And we never have to be out past 8 p.m. because they're usually done by like 6, and it's great. So that's all stuff coming up on the update side from town. As far as the agenda from our meeting last night, not a lot of things there. So obviously I already mentioned the resolution establishing the official times for trick-or-treating. We had a resolution to add the Ashland neighborhood into the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District. It's kind of a bookkeeping type of thing. What it means is that the retention pond in Ashland will be overseen by the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District. They have to, at the Ashland community, the homeowners association, has to make sure that it meets all of the requirements, the code, that it's been brought up to date. And when it is, they can apply to have it added into Kent County Stormwater so that in the future, it will be Kent County Stormwater that helps do maintenance on the retention pond. Other neighborhoods in town, we've done this for them. It's sort of a formality on the part of the town, but it was a resolution item on our agenda last night. We had a request last night from the Smyrna Swim Club about adding themselves to the town's water and sewer for their bathrooms, bathhouse, showers, and concession area. So there are a few places in town that are not on the town water and sewer system. They're things that existed before the town had water and sewer available for everyone. And now those places, they've been grandfathered in, but if they want to add to the town, typically they have to abandon their existing well and sewer system. We usually get these requests when the septic system fails at a location. And the cost of replacing the septic system is far greater than the cost of connecting to the town water or town sewer and water in some cases. And it also improves the property value. So we'll see houses who, for some reason, still had a well or a septic who want to connect to the town because it makes the house easier to sell. The Smyrna Swim Club request was a little bit different in that they want to maintain their well on their property for the purpose of filling the pools only. And I guess they have about 150,000 gallons or so of pools. And they do not want to use the city water in order to fill their pools. They want to have the opportunity to use their existing well. They just don't want the well water for their bathrooms, bathhouses, and the septic system. There's generally the town is okay with something like this, especially when it's a larger use. It is not technically permitted in our code, so it's something that if they do want to move forward would require a code change. We have allowed things like this for agricultural purposes. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that we allowed Homestead Gardens to come into town, add on water and sewer for their bathrooms and buildings, but to maintain their wells for agricultural purposes, basically watering the greenhouses. The Smyrna Swim Club just sort of wanted to ask us if we would consider it. We did not vote on this, though there was general consensus from the council that we wouldn't be opposed to it. Were they to come back, they need to go and do their due diligence to see what it would cost. Do they even want to connect to the town after they survey sort of where they would need to connect and what the costs would be? So it might be coming, but sort of just a little piece out there. We had another item that was, I've mentioned this also in passing previously, about updating or adopting new brand standards for the town. So back in 2012, the town worked with Ben Muldrow and Associates to craft the updated town seal, an updated town logo and fonts. And we decided that this would be probably a good time 10 years later to take another look at that and try and make some updates and see where there are things that we could do that would help make it a little bit more modern looking, things that would give it a little bit more color, a little bit more pop. We've had folks say that our current branding and seal all look like it's very Halloween-y, and I would agree. I think I have a pin around here somewhere. Right here. This is my little pin that sits on my desk, but you can see it, and it does kind of look very Halloween-like. So the idea was to add in some brighter colors, maybe utilize a few different fonts that we could help update it and give it a little bit more pop and a little bit of different ways to use it. Ben Muldrow came back to do that. He actually did the update of it pro bono, which was great. And so we presented that to the council last night to take a look at. Ultimately, the council voted to adopt the new brand standards. We're not going to go out and like try and change absolutely everything, like the logos on the trucks and things like that. But whenever we do something new going forward, we're going to make sure that the new colors, the new brand standards, the logos are integrated into that. So you'll start seeing them maybe on signage, or if we do new banners downtown, things like that. That was the fun stuff. The thing that wasn't terribly fun from last night's meeting is we got a review of the proposed increases to the PPCAC, essentially our electric rate. Folks probably have heard about this because it's been hitting the news in different ways. The Indian River coal-fired power plant has requested to shut down. The owners of that feel that it is no longer economically feasible to run that power plant, and they would like to shut it down. The problem is that there is not enough transmission capacity to power the Delmarva Peninsula without that power plant. What that means is that were they to shut it down, there would not be the infrastructure in place to get enough electricity to everybody on the Eastern Shore, Delaware, Virginia, and we could run into some significant issues. So because there's not that capacity, there was a lawsuits and lawyers and things like that ultimately are going to force the Indian River Power Plant to stay operational at least until the end of 2026. And it is by then that it is felt that the increased capacity for the transmission lines and substations and things will be in place that we can allow that plant to shut down. The problem is that in order to keep operating that plant, the electric rates need to go up because they are essentially going to demand that they don't lose money by being required to operate their plant. In the end, it ends up being quite a bit of money that it costs to operate that plant. I'm pulling out my summary document from last night. I should have gotten it out beforehand. It ends up being, we got a wonderful presentation about everything last night. It ends up costing something in the vicinity of $300 million is what it's estimated in order to continue to operate that plant until the end of 2026, when, in theory, the new transmission or the transmission things will be up. Which means that $300+ million is getting extended out to every single user on the eastern or on the Delmarva Peninsula. Every single power plant, every single company, DMEC, DEC, Delmarva Power, everybody is getting hit with an increased cost for what it takes for us to buy power that we ultimately then provide to our customers. For the town of Smyrna, that's going to run close to $80,000 a month additional cost that it's going to take for us to buy it. What that means for individual customers is roughly about a 5.5% increase in electric costs per residential customer. The numbers we run, the average residential customer is about $8 a month is what that comes down to. All told, the total rates, when you look at not just residential, but the commercial and everybody, it ends up being about a total of a 10% increase. So some people see the large users, people who consume lots and lots of power, actually are going to see a more substantial increase than your average residential user. The DMEC board approved a 10.2% increase for the wholesale rate, but ultimately that plays out differently depending on who the power user and the exact rate structure that's in use. We end up being pretty lucky because DMEC has done a lot of work to help buffer against cost increases like this. Some of the utility providers, Delmarva Power being one of them, and some of the other ones in Maryland and other areas, are expecting to see close to 20% rate increases because of this. It's a lot of money that it takes to continue to operate this power plant. And ultimately, they pass those costs on to the utility providers. Smyrna is a utility provider. And we end up having to pass those costs on to everyone else. Not fun. So we will often see rate increases. They'll give us a rate increase once a year or something like that. This is a mid-year sort of adjustment that they're doing. And this rate increase will be in effect until 2026, the end of 2026. Now, this rate increase, it's, folks who've lived here for a long time have seen actually higher rates than this. We have another wonderful document in here. I guess, right now, the current rate we have is still actually less than what our current, or the rate that with this increase is still going to be less than our rates were back in 2009, 2010. So lower than it has been in the past, but we have seen that rate start to ratchet up over the last few years from 2020 to now 2022. And this will stay in effect at least until 2026. Unless something dramatically changes, but that's when the new transmission capacity is expected to be online. So not fun. It means that every single one of us will see an increase in our bill because the rate at which we buy power and then disperse it to the community is going up. So not a lot we could do about it. It's not something we even had a say in. Obviously DMEC, our provider that we're part of the co-op for that, they spent a lot of time, a lot of money lobbying, preventing this from shutting down, preventing the power plant from shutting down, and also trying to protect us as much as possible from rate increases. I think that the buying power that we have in instances like this pays off. I know folks complain a lot because, there are other locations that have cheaper power. Now most of those places don't. It's not how you want to get, lower on the list of the rankings, but in the end, we're going to see a number of communities with substantially larger power increases because DEC and Delmarva and those folks are putting forward quite a bit larger rate increases. I know Milford already announced I think that was like 3.5% or something like that, or 3.1% is what they put out, that they were going to be upping their rates. Every town's a little bit different because different things are included in electric rates, fees for transmission, other stuff like that. So everybody looks a little different. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but we'll end up seeing about a 5.5% increase, about $8 per month for residential customers. So we'll get a lot of questions about this. I'm sure we'll get complaints. Wish there was something more we could do about it. Sorry to have to give you bad news. So those were the major things that were on our discussions from last night, the major agenda items. Obviously, if you've got any questions or issues or concerns, reach out to me directly. Send me a message any way you can, and I will try and be of as much assistance. Just to reiterate, fun things. The haunted house going to be at the police station on the 31st, along with trick-or-treating that evening throughout town. So get your ghouls and ghosts ready and head out and have a good time. Or if you're setting up at your house, please, full-size, large candy bars, Snickers, not a big peanut butter cup fan, but I'll take it if you got it. And then all of the fall cleanup stuff, the leaf cleanup starting this week, and the fall bulk item pickups from the town over the course of the next 2 weeks, starting next week. So keep that on your agenda. Hope everyone's doing well. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and the rest of your week. Talk to you soon. Bye.